The rain hadn't stopped in 3 days. It wept against the windows of the old lakeside estate like it was grieving something no one dared speak of. Inside, the fireplace crackled low, shadows dancing on the paneled walls, and I sat in silence, numb, whiskey in hand, waiting for a past that would never return. Then came the knock. Soft. Hesitant. Almost unreal. I opened the door, half expecting the wind to answer. But it was her. Drenched to the bone, eyes full of something I couldn't name, loss, maybe, or a secret she didn't know how to tell. She didn't ask if she could come in. She didn't need to. Something inside me cracked, like the moment was already written. She was a stranger. But when our eyes met, I knew she had come carrying pieces of me I didn't even know were missing. Her name was Lena. She didn't say it at first, just stood in the doorway, water dripping from her coat, her breath visible in the cold. I handed her a towel, silent, not because I was impolite, but because the air felt too charged for words. "You're Ethan, right?" she asked softly, her voice barely above the storm outside. I nodded, unsure whether I was unnerved or intrigued. "Do I know you?" She smiled faintly, the kind that doesn't reach the eyes. "No, but I know this place. My mother used to work here. When your family still owned it." Something flickered in me, a memory buried beneath time and silence. My mother was Elena, housekeeper. About 25 years ago. I sat down slowly, whiskey forgotten, the edges of her story beginning to cut into mine. "Elena," I whispered. "She used to hum when she worked. I was a kid. She gave me lemon cookies." Lena nodded, almost relieved. "She died last year. Cancer." "I'm sorry. I just wanted to see the place once. I didn't know it was still yours." And just like that, two quiet griefs sat in the room together, no longer alone. Lena stayed the night. The storm had made the roads impassable, and besides, I couldn't bring myself to ask her to leave. Not when her presence felt like something I hadn't known I needed, like music in a house long silent. She sat by the fire, legs folded, her coat drying by the hearth. I gave her one of my shirts to sleep in. Too big, sleeves rolled. "I didn't mean to intrude," she said. "You didn't," I said, and I meant it. We spoke in fragments. Her life in the city. My self-imposed exile after the divorce and my father's death. The years that had hollowed us out in different ways. And then the silences. Not awkward, but heavy. Shared. "You're not what I expected," I said finally. "What did you expect?" "A ghost." "This house has a few." She smiled again. That same sad, beautiful smile. "Maybe I'm one of them." Over the next few days, the storm refused to lift, and Lena stayed. We cooked in the old kitchen. She laughed when I burned the eggs, the sound oddly intimate in a space that had forgotten joy. She found my vinyl collection, and we danced barefoot in the living room to Nina Simone, pretending the world outside didn't exist. But behind the smiles, something in her eyes kept pulling away, like she was only visiting this moment, not living in it. One night, I caught her standing by the window, staring into the rain. "What are you looking for?" I asked. "Myself," she said. "Or what's left of her." She didn't elaborate. I didn't push. But a question formed inside me, and I knew I wasn't ready for the answer. What had life done to her that she still carried it like a wound she didn't want anyone to see? It was on the 5th day that I found it. An old photo tucked between the pages of a forgotten book. My father standing with a woman I hadn't thought about in years. Elena. And in her arms a baby. The blood drained from my face. I waited until Lena returned from her walk around the lake, coat soaked again, cheeks pink from the cold. "Who was your father?" I asked gently. She paused, her back stiffening. "I don't know. My mother never said." I showed her the photo. She stared at it like it might break her. "I think my father knew," I said. "I think he kept secrets." She swallowed hard. "Do you think?" "I don't know," I said truthfully. "But I think you deserve to." She turned to the fire, silent, and when she spoke again, her voice trembled. "I'm tired of not knowing who I am." That night, the air between us changed. It wasn't just grief anymore. It wasn't just silence and memory. It was longing. She stood in the kitchen, barefoot, hair damp from her shower, wearing another one of my shirts. Her fingers trembled slightly as she reached for a mug. "I don't want to be alone tonight," she said, almost inaudibly. Neither did I. But we didn't touch. Not yet. We sat beside each other on the couch, shoulders brushing. The warmth between us was unbearable. Her hand found mine, slowly, uncertainly, and laced our fingers together like a prayer. "You scare me," she whispered. "Why?" "Because you see me." And I'm not sure I know how to be seen. I don't need you to be anything, I said. Just here. And for the first time, I felt her let go of fear, of guilt, of whatever weight she'd been carrying alone. The morning after, I found her in the library, poring over old journals my father had kept. Pages of accounts, entries, occasional letters. I need to know, she said. She found a letter half finished, never sent. To Elena. Words that were never meant to be seen. I made a mistake. I loved you. But I was afraid. I didn't know how to be both a father and a coward. If she ever comes back here, tell her I wanted to know her. Tell her I was sorry. Lena didn't cry. She folded the letter, tucked it into her pocket, and said, he was mine. Even if he never said it. I stood behind her, rested my hand on her back. She leaned into it, just enough to break me a little more. You belong here, I said. Her voice cracked. Do I? With me, I said. The rain stopped. The lake shimmered under pale sunlight, and for the first time in what felt like lifetimes, the house felt less haunted. We walked along the dock, her hand in mine, the silence no longer heavy but healing. I'm scared to feel this, she said. I know. But I do. I turned to her. So do I. There was a moment. No grand declarations, no orchestrated kiss. Just the hush of water and the wind gently touching her hair as we stood face to face. Something raw and infinite between us. And then we kissed. Slowly. Like we were learning a language long forgotten. Like nothing mattered but the electricity humming in that fragile, perfect contact. She wasn't a stranger anymore. She was carved into me now in bone and breath. She didn't leave. Not after the sun came back. Not when the roads cleared. Lena stayed, not out of obligation, not because she didn't have a life elsewhere, but because something in her had rooted itself here. With me. We planted herbs in the old greenhouse. She painted the empty guest room. I began writing again, something I hadn't done in years. Sometimes we argued. She'd disappear into herself when memories crept back. I'd shut down when emotions felt too close. But we always came back to the fire, the vinyls, the silences that didn't demand explanations. Love, I learned, isn't a cure. It's a home. A year later, we found another letter. One my father had sent to my mother. In it, he confessed everything. About Elena. About Lena. About how guilt had kept him from claiming what mattered most. Lena read it, eyes wet, hands trembling. It doesn't make it right. No, I agreed. But it explains the silence. She leaned into me, and for a long time we said nothing. Then she smiled. Really smiled. I came here looking for a ghost, she said. And found your own soul. She looked at me. And you. I kissed her temple. I found mine the moment you knocked on my door. And just like that, the stranger who once arrived with the rain was no longer a mystery. She was the answer I never knew I'd been asking. She had come as a stranger. And stayed in my soul.